Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of the Adventure Map Creation series. The map that we'll be working on today is going to be a co-op, level progression based open world PvE game. Not sure if there's going to be a story implemented into it or not quite yet, however I would love to get your feedback on that before I make any final decisions. But we have a lot to do today, so let's go ahead and take a look at what's on the agenda for this episode. So the first thing I want to do today is lay out the paths for the game. This is going to be the starter area here. There's going to be a town that kind of wraps around this way with paths going off in this direction towards the later levels of the game. I'll go ahead and show you the beautiful bit of land that we've picked out here. We've got this long plains biome that comes up here that's going to give us plenty of room to do some interesting stuff. And then here is the hills biome where the final castle is going to end up when we get that far. Speaking of the castle, the second thing that we need to do today is to lay out the actual buildings of the different towns. We're going to have different areas where these paths are going to lead to for the different levels. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But as you level up and go through the world, there's going to be different towns and areas, and I would like to lay out the buildings just so we have sort of a sense of scale. It's not going to be anything final, but just so we kind of have an idea of what these areas are going to look like. And the third thing that we're going to do today is we're actually going to start working on this little spawn city. You will see when we go over to my testing world in a minute that I do kind of have a starter building almost worked out. Just a little bit is kind of is constructed over there. We're going to add some stuff to that though. But yeah, I want to get a little bit of work done on this starter area here so that we have somewhere that, that looks nice when we spawn in. So the fourth and final thing that we need to do today is to create the commands and the redstone in this spawn building here to enable this game for co-op. The way that's going to work is basically there's going to be a lever and you're going to select whether you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 players, and then depending on what you select, the difficulty of the game increases with more players or decreases with less players. So with all that being said, before we dive into laying out the paths, let's hop over to my testing world for the server so that you guys can get a little better of an idea of how this game is going to work. Alright, so welcome to my chaotic testing world for this server. Obviously it's not pretty, but it doesn't need to be. This is just sort of a proof of concept world. The spawn area buildings are going to kind of be in this theme here. We're going for a sort of medieval style for this entire map. But this, like I said, is just sort of a proof of concept area. So let's go ahead and I'll go around to the different machines and I'll kind of show you what we've got going on here. So this right here is the machine that we're going to be implementing into the spawn city today. This is the co-op selection board for the number of players. And as you can see, it's just a sticky piston here with a redstone block on it. It's very simple. However, what this is going to enable us to do is select the difficulty of our map. And if you watch over here, when I click these levers over here, there's going to be a redstone block that spawns on one of the two. If I undo it, it's going to despawn. That's what these command blocks are doing. Obviously, in the real game, there's going to be a bunch of areas like that, so this is going to be way longer of a command block chain over here. However, that's the basic idea that we're working with. So that did the far line of command blocks under there. Say if I select 4 players here, it's going to do the close line of command blocks. So that's going to be a little different spawn rates for the cities, just so the game maintains the balance as you increase the number of players. So let's go ahead and select 1 player here. We're going to run over to the start of our city. When we get close, we're going to get a little bit of a title card on the thing, and it's going to tell you the level of the area that you're in. And then while we're here, we should start seeing some animals spawn here. These are all level 1 animals. There's pigs and cows and chickens. And as we kill some of these guys, we should see that they drop some items. There we go. So we got a weapon token level 1. I will show you guys what those do in just a second as I collect a few here. Alright, so we have received some tokens from our level 1 mobs over there. We have 4 weapon tokens, we have 3 upgrade tokens, and 3 armor tokens. So what these are going to be used for is to upgrade your equipment, obviously your weapon, your armor, and then the upgrade one is going to give you enchanted books. This is the machine that's going to do that right here. So basically it's just a couple, it's an item sorter here with a line of command blocks depending on what you put in it. And so if we go ahead and shift click all of our stuff into here, we should see that this barrel is going to start filling with our rewards. Alright, so the barrel is filled up with all of our rewards here. It is all random based off of the level of the token that you put in. So we got a little bit of armor here, we got a sword, a bow, and then a few books. Now, as you kill these mobs, you are also getting experience, so you're going to use that experience to upgrade your stuff with the books. And also, I haven't implemented this quite yet, this was sort of a late addition, but they're also going to be dropping glowstone dust, which is going to be acting as sort of a player experience level as well. I'll show you guys how that works. So the way the player experience is going to work is that you have to collect a certain amount of player experience before the level 2 upgrade station is going to open. So the level 1 will be available from the start. However, you're going to need to kill enough mobs to get enough of the player experience to unlock the level 2 upgrade station so that you can get some better stuff. Now, the way that this works here is that depending on the number of players, so this is going to hook up to our machine right here, it's going to require a different amount of this glowstone dust to upgrade. So for one player, it's just 10. So if we go ahead and grab 10 here, and then we go up into this hopper and throw our 10 glowstone dust, we should see that that changes into a barrel. So pretend that that barrel is going to be over here. So this would be a note block. There's nothing you can put in it. It upgrades to a barrel, so then you can actually put your equipment in there. And last but not least, in the test world here, we're going to take a look at the paths that I've designed for this world. We're going to go with sort of a messy and rough looking path here. This is going to be the nature style that we have here. So I want the paths to be very directional. There's not going to be a whole lot off the paths, like just kind of in the areas where there's not cities. So I do want you to be very much led down the path and not necessarily think that there's a whole lot off the path. So that's what all this stuff along the side does. However, if you do want to explore the outside areas, you're more than welcome to. There might be a few surprises out there. So now that you guys have a little bit of a better understanding on how this game is going to work, I'm going to go ahead and get started on laying out the paths. I will see you guys in just a minute. Alright, so now that we have our paths laid out, I'm going to go ahead and take you guys on a little bit of a tour of what we have going on here. So this is the spawn area right here. There's going to be a building in the middle, so I kind of just mapped out the outside here. So this is actually where the path is going to go. It's just going to be a bigger area here. I wanted that building in the middle just because it's not a very big geographical area. I still wanted it to feel like it was kind of a closed-in city, so that should hopefully help with that a little bit. So as we come out of the spawn city, we're going to go this way, and we're going to have two options of where to go. This is going to be the main road here. There's going to be a little bit of a side road coming off this direction, which is going to lead to the level 1 area. This is going to be a big farm. Here I'm going to have to clear some trees out, but we're going to have some big sweeping fields that we're going to pass through all the way over here. And this is going to be the small level 1 area where we have our pigs, cows, and chickens spawning. So this is just kind of where you get started. And right on the other side of this, right here, is actually going to be our level 1 upgrade station. So after you leave this farm area over here and you get all of your tokens and stuff, you can come right across this path and come to the level 1 upgrade station that is going to be right here. We're going to map that stuff out in just a minute. So as we keep going along this path here, we've got two more directions that we can go again. This way is going to be our first level 2 area. The level 2 mobs are going to be wolves, bees, and vexes is the third one. So those are mobs that are passive unless you hit them, except for the vexes, but vexes are pretty easy, so they're also a level 2. So I thought this was kind of perfect because there's already wolves here. Anyway, obviously we're not going to have wolves spawning in the world when we do make the actual game. However, I just thought that was kind of funny that worked out that way. So that's our first level 2 area. We're going to have a second level 2 area that is going to be right up here. So this is going to be level 2 area number 2. As we go deeper into this, you're going to see that there's some bigger areas that we're going to be able to work with for the higher levels, because it's going to be harder to level up as you get higher, just like in most games. So after you finish that level 2 area, we can come back this way, and there's a couple options to come this way just for some world building here. Then we come up here, there's another fork in the road. We can go left. This is going to be a level 3 area over here, and then there's going to be another level 3 area this way. So this is sort of your level 3 loop right here that's going to go off in those two directions. Those might be connected, they might not, I'm not sure yet. It could just be one big area over there. We'll see how that works out when we start laying out the buildings. So onto the level 4 areas. This is going to be the first level 4 area. It's actually going to be inside of this mountain here. We're going to do a little bit of a cave area in there. We don't have the level 4 mobs worked out, or the level 3, or the level 5 mobs quite yet, but we will get there pretty soon here. So that's going to be the first level 4 area in the cave. There's going to be another level 4 area as we come this way off in this direction. So this is going to be the second level 4. And then as we go up this way, this is going to split off again. There's a level 5 area is going to be over there. And as we come up this hill, the second level 5 area is going to be down here. And then as we come all the way up this hill, this is where the final boss castle is going to be. So once you kill your level 5 mobs, you get your level 5 loot. That's when you can finally come up to the castle and attack the castle. Alright, so now that we have finished part 1 of today's agenda, it is time to move on to part 2, and that is laying out the buildings. So I'm going to go ahead and get right to doing that. Alright, so we've got a little bit of a layout started here. This is the spawn city that we're going to be working on today. There's a lot of interesting shapes here, and a lot of interesting angles, especially over there. We'll get there. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to deal with those. That's just the ideal angle. I'll probably try to kind of stick to that. I do like a challenge when I'm building, so I'll probably try to stick to those angles, like that building there, this building here. But we'll see. That stuff might change. But this is going to be the main building that we're going to work on today. This is just kind of how the other buildings are going to be laid out here. This means this just needs to be a facade on this side. There's no reason a player would ever come back over here. We might even just block it off with some barrier blocks. But there's going to be some buildings that we're just going to have facades just because there's no reason to build an entire building when we don't have to. This is going to take enough time as it is. So as we come out of the spawn city here, like I said, the level 1 upgrade station is going to be right across from the farm. For the farm, we're just going to have a little bit of a farmhouse here that's going to be in the middle of this field. This whole thing is going to be a field all the way from that path all the way over to the backs of these buildings. And then I've added room for a couple silos here. I don't know if those are going to stay there. They might move. We'll see, depending on how everything turns out when we start adding in all the crops and stuff. So when we come over to this other level 2 city over here, I decided to add in a few more paths that just kind of come through it. This is sort of just based off of a normal Minecraft village. If you saw during the time lapse, I was actually blocking out like small, tiny houses just to see how that would fit together, just like a normal Minecraft village. And then I decided to kind of connect those together because I do want it to be a little bit more grand than just a Minecraft village, especially since the buildings in the spawn city are going to be so big. We do want them to kind of be to the same scale. So as we come out here, we've got the level 2 upgrade station is going to be right here because the second level 2 city is going to be right there. I'll explain why I didn't build that in just a second. Then as we come around here, the level 3 upgrade station is going to be right here, right after the 2 level 3 areas. So the reason why I decided to stop laying out the buildings is because I do want most of the areas to have some sort of a theme, and I don't quite know what all of those themes are yet. Like we have the level 1 area is going to be the farm. The level 2 area is going to be like a normal village because it's just wolves and bees and normal mobs. However, as we get into levels 3, 4, and 5, the mobs are going to be much more specific because they have to be much harder. So I'm not exactly sure the theme that we're going to be going with, and that's going to determine a lot of how the city is laid out. Since I don't want to have to lay something out that we're not going to use, I decided it's probably better off to just put that off until we have some better ideas of what we're going to be doing with the levels 3, 4, and 5 areas, including the castle up on the hill. Although I am very excited to get started on that, I guess that's just going to have to wait. So part 2 is completed for today, and we are moving on to part 3, and that is to begin the spawn city. I'm so excited to get started on this. I'm not sure we're going to touch any of these outside buildings today. We might just go ahead and try to get as much done as we can on the actual first building, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to have the player spawn inside this building or spawn just outside of it. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm excited to get right to it, so let's just go ahead and jump into another time lapse. So the spawn building is now complete, and as you can see, it's kind of plain right now, especially on this front bottom side. We're going to add some more detail along here when we start working on the paths, but the structure is all here. So there's not going to be anything inside this building. I will show you why in just a second. There's going to be a bunch of redstone stuff back here. But yeah, so this is where we're going to be selecting the number of players for the game. So if we go ahead and we're going to work on this part together, actually. Let me actually destroy this sign here. We've begun the spawn city. So now we just have to create the commands to enable co-op. So that's what we're going to do right now. So let's grab ourselves a sign and some white dye. So this is going to be for 1 player and 4 players. Alright, and then let's dye all of these white. So the way that we're going to do this, it's going to be very simple. We're just going to grab ourselves some sticky pistons, redstone blocks. Where's it at? There it is. Some redstone and a redstone torch, and then we just need to give ourselves, if I can type, a command block. Alright, so now we're going to head around the back side of this building, and we're going to have to cut ourselves a little hole in here just so we can see what's going on. There it is. Okay, so the levers are right here, so if we put these pistons this way, that should activate from our levers. And then we just have to put the redstone blocks on there. I'm actually just going to go ahead and fill this in so that if the windows are getting any light, you can't actually see it. This shouldn't affect anything. So when this extends, what we want it to do is we want it to power a redstone line on top of a bunch of command blocks. So now when this comes out, it's going to power this entire line of command blocks. And then, so we also need the inverse of that, so that if a certain number of players is deselected, it undoes whatever the command blocks did. So the way that we're going to do that is we're basically just going to add a redstone torch on the end here, and then that's going to run into another line of command blocks like this with the line of redstone on top. So if this is not powered, this will turn everything off that this changes in the game. And then as soon as we power it and this extends, this will turn everything on. And then again, if we unpower it, it'll turn everything off again. And every single module here is going to be exactly like that. So just so you guys can see how exactly this works, if we go ahead and select 1 player here, you should see behind me that this is a coal block. If we unselect that, it will disappear. If we select 2 players, that becomes an iron block. If we unselect it, it disappears. 3 players, gold block. 4 players, diamond block. So the way that we're going to use that mechanic of these command blocks is that for every area where we're going to have spawners, we're going to actually have 4 different command blocks that produce a different spawner with different rates and different difficulties for those areas. So the way that I've set this up for a test is we have these 4 blocks here, and depending on which one we select, it's going to spawn a redstone block next to the thing. And for this, I just spawned a different level of difficulty. So as you can see, 1 player, it's just going to spawn a chicken, nice and easy. If we turn that off, it's going to disappear. We do 2 players, maybe that becomes a spider, a little bit more difficult. Maybe with 3 players, spawns a skeleton, even a little bit more difficult. And then with 4 players, it's a ravager, which is obviously the most difficult. Just in case I wasn't clear, we're not actually going to be spawning different types of mobs for the different number of players. It's just going to spawn a mob spawner that is going to spawn more of a particular type of mob. So with that being said, this is going to be the end of the first episode of the Create an Adventure Map series. If you guys have any ideas about the map, about the storyline, or if you have anything to add about my command block work and stuff like that, I'm definitely not a pro at command blocks. I could use a ton of help if you guys have that to offer. I'm sure you know more than I do. So if you have anything that would be of any help to me, please let me know down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe on this video. I appreciate it very much. And with that, we can go ahead and knock this last bit off of our agenda for today. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.